I feel that as writers, we just want to curl up somewhere alone with a computer and type our dreams on a blank page, transforming emptiness into worlds, forever undisturbed. Well, maybe that's how I feel from time to time. But we need to go out, to see the world, to touch it, smell it, taste it, to gather impressions that later will turn into the material for the future prose. That's what I was trying to do this autumn. I'm getting ready for my class because today we're going to discuss my short story. I have letters from my peers and from my professor where they talk about my work. I have to confess I was very nervous during the workshop. Maybe because English is my second language and I'm terrified sometimes in sharing my works in English, and I have to do that because I joined the workshop and I decided I'm going to be brave. I'm going to share. There was also a passage that I just wrote down because that's just what I felt like writing, and a lot of people brought it up and said that maybe the main theme of the story contained in that passage. I never actually met that, but now when I go back to it, I think maybe yes. So it comes down to the idea that writing sometimes is very intuitive. And though you can master a lot of things, you can do a lot of work, some things, they just appear. They just come to you. They're just offered like gifts, and you put them on the page. The feedback was so helpful and also so positive, and people actually like my story. And if you want to read it, you can find it on my Substack, or I will leave you a link somewhere for the video where I described how I edited the story before bringing it to the workshop. Sometimes I feel like I'm a good writer. I've also been editing a fantasy novel for another writer. Editing someone else's work can be tricky. You want to help, but at the same time you don't want to impose your ideas. The best piece of advice that I could find was this quote by Scott Norton. A developmental editor's job is to flag those moments in a draft when the dream feels interrupted, whether by lapses that blare like call alarms or by niggling distractions that vex like kitchen faucets dripping. DAs must resist the temptation to pose as a license. Instead, they should lie themselves down on the proverbial couch and recount their vicarious experience of the textual dream, while the author takes notes that make sense only to herself. I'm done editing 353 pages. Oof. It's a young adult fantasy. It has everything you want to see in this genre. It has very interesting characters, young, that are questioning the authority, that are trying to change something in their lives. It has a lot of adventures, magical world, but the pace is very slow, and that is the main problem, I think, of this book, together with some world building questions and some logical questions, but that's okay. I mean, this is a very big novel, and it is also fantasy, and first draft fantasy, of course, you're going to have some inconsistencies. That's perfectly fine. When you write a book, especially when you just start, you're just figuring out the things about this book, and it's good. You need to write the first draft, then come back and write a bunch of things, but with a new understanding of your story. Now I'm going to rest and go for a walk and just relax. I have a little bit of spoiled berries, so maybe the birds in this park will do them. It is finally a weekend. That means I can do whatever I want to do. And what I want is first to finish reading the book. I'm reading Sister Carrie at the moment. Tomorrow I will attend book club and I'm very excited to discuss Sister Carrie there. And also, I just want to write a new book. For me, a novel starts with a picture and a song. For the longest time, I wanted to write a fantasy novel based on Slavic folklore, collecting images that might spark inspiration. Here is a painting that I chose as my main reference. I don't know much about this novel yet, but I am figuring it out. Thank you for sharing my moments of autumn with me. I will see you in the next one. Bye!